A quick question, no long speech, please.
Thank you. Bruno Walter, Professor for Environmental Science at Taipei Medical University. Somehow a lot of the questions actually have taken a bit the wind out of my sails. But for me, even though I've only been here briefly, for me, one of the survival strategies for Taiwan would really be to make it as different from mainland China as possible, especially in the fields of the environment, human rights, research and development, and attracting foreigners. Especially, I mean, as a professor, seeing now foreign students come to this country, I mean, that can only be very, very good for Taiwan's image. So the more different Taiwan is, you know, I think the better it would look to the outside world. So what is your vision, you know, to make Taiwan, I mean, different in those terms of environment, human rights, and yes, you've answered some of them already, but, you know, Bill Clinton always said showing a vision to the people is really important in winning an election. So what is your overall vision? I mean, do we move towards the United States or Denmark? You know, how much state interference and so on?
Can you answer that in 2 minutes?
It's difficult, but I try. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, in market terms, when you compete in the market, the way you compete is that you make yourself different. It's called product differentiation. But we're not in exactly the kind of business of product differentiation. We have to make people outside of Taiwan know that we're different, and we're positively different in the sense that we do have values, and that is commonly shared by the people. And you may call that universal value, like environment protection, like human rights, and democracy, a good, decent democracy here. So these are the kind of things that will make Taiwan valuable to the world, and worthwhile for people to guard against any offenses from any forces in the region. So I guess, yeah, you're right. I mean, if you want to ask me to answer to your question in 2 seconds, I would say yes, I agree with you. But as a political leader, we have to have a strong base in these values, and then you have to find ways to strengthen your systems, your democratic institutions, your democratic systems, and your education in terms of human rights and environmental protection, and you have to have plans to strengthen the protection of human rights here. So in that regard, I must say we do need to carry out a very comprehensive judicial reform here. I was a law professor for a long time. Yeah. And I know that this judicial system is not serving as the protector of justice or the protector for the disadvantaged people here. So the judicial system is actually the most important thing to make sure that your democracy is functioning properly and your human rights is protected in the right way. And the other thing is I have to educate our people that environmental protection makes economic sense too, you know.
Okay, I had promised Matt, so okay, well first, Matt, I'll give you, if you want to yield the floor for 1 minute.
Sure.
Okay.
Dr. Tsai, quick question. Michael McGregor from Australia. Assume it's 2016, you've had one term as president. What are 3 things you will have done by then to secure the relationship between Taiwan and China, vis-a-vis finance, culture, or politically?
In other words, you're giving me 4 years to complete 3 things. Wow, that's hard. I mean, but first thing, I will maintain a normal and stable relationship with China, and despite the fact it doesn't sound very exciting, but in diplomatic sense, for experienced people who are in the business of maintaining external relationship, this is the most difficult task. So in 4 years, I will make sure that there will be a stable and peaceful relationship that requires a lot of management efforts. Okay. And second thing is that I will make sure trade and economic exchanges between the 2 sides are governed and monitored and consistent with the international rules and the multilateral rules. And I will make this part of the multilateral process. Okay. But at the same time, I will strengthen our trade relationship with the rest of the world to create the right kind of balance. We can't have trade and investment relationship with China for the sole purpose of having trade and economic relationship with China. It's only part of our global strategy. Then I will make it balanced. Okay. And thirdly, we will try to create a good network of communication between the 2 sides. When I say good network of communication, I hope the 2 governments, one way or another, can talk to each other. But the non-governmental bodies can talk to each other too. The think tanks can talk to each other too. And I would place particular emphasis on non-governmental bodies like the human rights groups, the environmental groups, the democracy groups. They can go and talk to their counterparts in China to create some sort of a common value between the 2 sides. 3 things.
Okay, I'm going to give Matt the last shot. I'm sorry, Sid. And for everyone else, if you have questions that you would have liked to have posed, send them to me by email, and I will group them all together and put them to Dr. Tsai's office so that they will still, your needs at least will be brought forward. Okay, quick, Matt.
Thanks so much. Dr. Tsai, I am an educator in Taiwan for almost 18 years and the father of a 15-year-old boy who has gone through the local schools. He's in 9th grade, finishing junior high school this year. And I'd like to maybe ask a question that he and his classmates might ask. What are your deepest criticisms of the existing Taiwan education system? Secondly, what would your administration do to address those? And thirdly, for junior high school and senior high school students, do you believe that the students of Taiwan would end up being better educated people if they took half as many tests?
Okay, about 2 minutes on that one.
Well, I myself was a victim and beneficiary of the education system here, so it has good and bad aspects for a child growing up. Yeah, too many tests. But I guess depending on how you define this idea of tests, I like the idea that being the student being questioned by challenged by the teacher every day, every class, and but I also like the idea of children challenging the teachers too. But what I have, you may ask, you asked me this question, what I would think is the most critical in the educational process is that they are not interactive enough. I mean, the teacher's trying to lecture to the students, and the student trying to be a good student by memorizing whatever the teacher taught them. But I think we need to create a culture of some sort and a system of some sort of challenging the students and the teachers challenging each other. And but I think we're moving towards a better state now. That is, students nowadays are asking more questions, like yourself in this room. And I had this opportunity to talk to college students at different places, and they're very good at asking questions, and they have no hesitation to raise questions. And I think this is a positive development in our education system. But the most complaint that I may have is that they may be asked to study and to learn too much things. And I don't see much enough education in humanities, like culture, like art, and they need to be trained to appreciate artwork and literature work. They need to learn to be a good consumers of these art products and literature products. And the education here tend to train students to be the producers rather than the consumers. And therefore, we have difficulty of developing a good art, culture, and art industry here because we're short of consumers.
Okay, I think we're going to have to draw this to a close. I know there are a lot of still questions out there, and maybe down the road, as the campaign goes on, we will try to have Dr. Tsai back again. But let's give her a big hand, please.